Hello and welcome to the Yule Portal, all my lovely soul traveling friends. My name is Jess, and I am here to talk to you about this amazing experience we are going to be embarking on together. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a bunch of things planned today, but let's start off with what is Yule? Why do we celebrate it? And how has it been infused into all the amazing traditions of the holidays that we have today? Or stolen from is another way of putting it. So, what is Yule? Yule is the celebration of the rebirth of the sun god. It is the winter solstice, which is the coming of light. It is the darkest, longest day of the year. And at the end of it comes this big, brewing, beautiful, light filled side of our year, where spring comes, the sun flourishes, and we are uplifted into a new time of going after things, motivation, and moving away from the shedding and the spiritual reset. So we are stepping into our light. So, in saying that, let's talk about how we celebrate and the basic traditions behind it all. So, when in the traditional pagan times, when we talk about the celebration of Yule, we are looking at the celebration of light, the celebration of the universe, the celebration of earth, the celebration of what that has to do with us and where it brings us to the next level and how we move from there. So, one of the things I want to start with is some associations between the traditional pagan holidays and what we experience as Christmas now. So, like I have told you, the celebration of Yule is a celebration of the rebirth of the sun god. Now, when we look at Christmas, we are talking about the celebration of the birth of the Son of God. Pagan tradition, older than Christianity, by the way, just so we are all aware, okay? Pagan tradition, the winter solstice, Yule, is celebrated in the rebirth of the sun god. During Christmas time, we celebrate the birth of the Son of God. Two and two together, that is your first connection. Now, in traditional pagan culture, we celebrate with a honoring of a Christmas tree, except then it was not known as a Christmas tree. You would never cut down a tree in traditional pagan fashion. You and your family would go out into the forest and you would find natural things to decorate a standing living tree with. You would never cut it down because the tree, the evergreen, is a sign of immortality. It is a sign of wisdom and it is a sign of strength. So I don't know about you, but I will never cut down another Christmas tree in my life or bring one into my home because it literally is cutting our ties with the natural world and showing that we have power. We're more powerful than the natural world when you cut that sign of immortality down. We are not. That natural world makes us up. Instead, in pagan tradition, they, like I said, would go out into the woods, decorate a tree that they found with beautiful natural ornamentation, and then they would cut boughs of the tree off to bring into the home to make it festive. Now, when we think about boughs of trees being brought in to the home for festive, what association do you get in present Christmas time? You get wreaths, you get garlands, all stemming from that basic tradition. So one, you have the rebirth of the sun god in paganism, and then you have the birth of the Son of God in Christianity. Okay, we also just talked about the Christmas tree in Christianity. We cut it down from Mother Earth and we bring it into our home. Actually, stemming from pagan traditions where they would not cut the full tree down because of how powerful of a sign of life it was, but instead bring the boughs into the home to decorate. That is where we get garland today, where we get wreaths today from those experiences. So now let's talk about the Yule log. You might think of it today as something you buy in Michael's or, Christmas in some sort of Christmas shop. Or you can make it as a dessert. I'm sure you've seen people have to make it on holiday baking competitions and stuff like that. Or maybe you've made one yourself. But the Yule log had so much more significance back in the day, back when the tradition started. So let's talk about the Yule log. So you could not buy a Yule log. It had to be gifted to you by friends, by family, or you actually had to harvest it yourself from the forest, okay? It was made from an ash tree, which has its own beautiful magical powers in itself. And what happens is it is brought into the home, placed in the fireplace, and decorated, honored, and ornamented. It is soaked in apple cider or ale. The apple is a symbol of the sun. It has magical properties of the sun element. Again, birth of the sun god, the rebirth of the sun god, excuse me. The birth of the son of God, apples, magic, symbol of the sun, okay? Apple cider doused on the log. And then the log was sprinkled with white flour. That white flour on top of the log represents love, light, and all the accomplishments of the coming year. Now, to light this log, it's set ablaze by a piece of last year's Yule log. So that piece of a Yule log from last year would have been set aside in a very, very special place for keeping. And to light this year's Yule log, what you would do is you light the piece of the old and ignite the new. Look at that beautiful resemblance of experience, taking everything you have learned and igniting your future self. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So that is a huge, huge example. Now, this Yule log was tended and cared for 12 days leading up to Yule. What connection do you get when I say 12 days leading up to Yule? The 12 days of Christmas. Yes, it is all stemming from the pagan traditions of the 12 days of Yule, the celebration of the rebirth of the sun god. Now, you can also find all of these examples of this burning light of just this joyous occasion of these old elemental symbols like the tree and everything running through our modern day society. And no one, well, not no one, the majority of us are not aware of the just beautiful natural element and basic ancient traditions that embody this. We were once not separated from the natural world. We honored it. We honored it. And I do have to say, the day we started cutting those trees and cutting down our connection to the natural world, stopping, not admiring and pulling motivation from the immortality that is the evergreen. Instead, we cut it down to show our power over it now. And that's something that happens in this modern day natural world, but it isn't something that has to continue to happen. So a little bit more about the tree before I let you go with these basic things about Yule that I'm sure you probably did not know if you're not familiar with it, is when we put the lights over our tree, it symbolizes the light that always comes over the darkness, okay? When we decorate our tree, it used to be decorated in fruits and nuts and all those natural elements. That is to represent our desires coming to fruitation and the watering and care, the fluidity in our lives. So yes, now if we still do the modern tree thing, there are some ways that has been adapted, bringing that element into your home. However, I just think that is another sign of how we can get back to ourselves, by not cutting down a real tree, by not severing the ties with our natural elemental world, with what has brought us here. So we're going to be doing some really great activities here. It is the full moon on 12/12, so you will be doing some things about that, understanding that more and more and more. We have a new moon coming. We have Yule and the winter solstice combo coming. We have this huge 2020 vision sight to amplify ourselves into and to bring us into this crowning achievement of our soul purpose. So just sit back, enjoy, and let's work through this portal together. Remember, there is going to be a prize for the most engaged participant of this group. And I encourage all of you to engage, because the more you engage with yourself and with others, the more you learn from experiences. Someone could have something to say that could change your whole perspective. Comment on each other's stuff, share your thoughts, root each other on, step out of your comfort zone. This is a safe area. We are all here for the same reason in this portal. And that is to share love, share light, share healing, fucking find our guidance in our dark spiritual reset and come out booming on the other side. All right, my friends, let's do this together. Happy holidays. Happy start to the 12 days of Yule, not the 12 days of Christmas, because we're going back to the beginning, back to when this was all tradition.